Hello, my name is James Chute. I'm a solution engineer here in the UK and Ireland. My email address is james.chute@autodesk.com. And today we'll be looking at streamlining workflows between BIM and GIS, giving you a comprehensive overview of what we can do between these two worlds. I won't read this entire safe harbor statement to you. I'm sure you've seen it before. But in short, some of these statements may be forward-looking. Please do take that in mind and do not make any purchasing decisions based on that content. What shall we do look at today? What's the agenda? So first of all, I wanted to cover, why are we seeing convergence between the worlds of BIM and GIS? What does that look like? As a kind of a general overview, and then covering some of the specific examples of GIS to BIM that we have and BIM to GIS, as well as my concluding remarks and some resources for you guys to look at and find out a little bit more about this in detail. So first of all, why are we seeing convergence? First of all, back in 2017, the CEO of Esri, Jack Dangermond, and Autodesk's Andrew Anagos met at Autodesk University, and they made an announcement of a strategic partnership. A lot has happened since then, and it needed to happen. In a traditional view of the life cycle of an asset, GIS is typically used for managing capital portfolios. And BIM processes are used for mainly delivering capital projects. This strategic alliance helps us to bring both life cycles together, thus enabling GIS information to inform BIM processes and BIM information to inform GIS processes or capital portfolios, aiding in capital project delivery and vice versa. A survey of over 200 Autodesk customers in 2017 showed that 93% of our customers felt like they needed GIS information integrated into their technology to use in design. 83% said that GIS data is important to their daily work, but only 20% said that integration between them two worlds was easy, which helps to build that picture for you of why we want to improve that connection. Okay, so you've kind of seen, a little bit about why. Where have we seen this being done before? Where has it been successful, this connection of the two worlds together? Well, a great case study is Wrexham's new stadium. So Wrexham Football Club is a team in Wales, famously bought by Ryan Reynolds. And essentially what they did is they used a combination of ArcGIS GeoBIM and the Autodesk Construction Cloud to model their new stand. They saw improvements to collaboration, better visualization with context of BIM and GIS information, as well as access to a number of GIS tools with their BIM data. I won't play the video in this slide deck, but feel free to access it through the slide deck, explaining that collaboration a little bit more. There's plenty of examples of Esri UK giving case studies of how GIS information has been useful for BIM processes. So Highways England, projects with HS2 or Skanska, using Esri information alongside BIM information from Autodesk to develop their projects. We also have a number of different examples as well. All of these on both slides you can access through the slide deck. Again, a combination of both of them worlds working together to bring about infrastructure delivery. Okay, so we've kind of covered briefly why that might be important, what that looks like, what some examples of that are that you can have a look at. What does this actually look like practically? So what I would say is there's plenty of ways to skin a cat. What does that mean? Essentially, that means there's a lot of different ways of doing this, of bringing GIS information into the BIM world. So a couple of ways that we'll cover today is the ACC. It can view GIS information embedded into BIM models, for instance, in a DWG. We can use AutoCAD Map 3D and Civil 3D with a map import functionality. We've got AutoCAD that has a plugin for ArcGIS separate to this for standalone ArcGIS. We have Civil 3D, which has that Map 3D functionality along with the connection to ArcGIS Online. InfraWorks is able to handle a number of different GIS formats like shapefiles, Oracle servers, etc., similar to Map 3D. It also has that connection to ArcGIS Online in the same way. Forma also has that connection to ArcGIS Online, as well as our Autodesk Water products having connections to the GIS world as well, where we can receive that information. And similarly, how do we actually push out our BIM models into the GIS world? Well, ArcGIS Pro is able to consume a number of different BIM formats, either locally or through the ACC, like Revit, IFC, and DWG. With Civil 3D, we can use that map export command, same as Map 3D. We can also use the connector for ArcGIS Online to push that information out. Same thing with InfraWorks, we've got that ability to push that information out, as well as them connections to different GIS databases. And then AutoCAD has a kind of similar functionality with that ArcGIS plugin as well as Forma and Autodesk Water Infrastructure products having connections out of the BIM world into GIS. Okay, so let's start to cover what this actually looks like in practice. But before that, I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page and you understand the different groups of products that we're talking about. So first of all, Autodesk, our desktop tools. So we have something called the AEC collection, which contains a comprehensive set of tools in a bundle for design, analysis, reality capture, and reviewing of content. This includes Autodesk Docs, which is the base of our CDE. It includes a number of softwares I mentioned already, like AutoCAD Map 3D, AutoCAD, Civil 3D, InfraWorks, all of which that can connect to GIS information in some way, shape, or form, as well as a number of other different products. If you'd like to find out more about what the AEC collection contains and a bit more detail on these individual products, definitely check out the ASB catalog to see more information on these tools. So we have our desktop tools. We also have our Autodesk Construction Cloud. So I mentioned their Docs, which is part of that ACC platform. Essentially, the Autodesk Construction Cloud, in short, is a platform for AECO project information from early stage design through to planning, through to construction, all the way out to operations, stored in one space with a number of different plugins or bolt-on tools on that platform to perform these different tasks for each stage of the asset lifecycle. We also have ArcGIS on the Esri side, what does this tool do? Essentially, it's an area where we can grab local, online, and open system GIS information, place them onto maps, create web applications, which we can access through the desktop, through your browser, or through mobile devices, with a number of different functionalities to edit and process that information to make it viewable on the map space. Okay, so you understand now kind of the basics of, we've got the AEC collection, we've got ArcGIS, we've got the ACC. How do these all play into one another? So in short, our desktop world has made connections to the Esri cloud world. So the cloud here acts as a way to manage data flow between both tool sets. For Autodesk, the connection to ArcGIS was built into InfraWorks as our preliminary design tool, and into Civil 3D, which is used for detailed design. For construction professionals, design professionals, BIM professionals, it's now easy to load GIS information from ArcGIS Online into their designs to make better informed design decisions. Using this technology, there's no need to worry about converting data formats. There's no need to worry about converting data formats, transforming coordinate systems, or worry about data accuracy. So that's grabbing GIS information into our desktop products. There's work that's been done on the ArcGIS side as well. So ArcGIS Pro, the desktop tool that they have, is able to connect directly to the Autodesk Construction Cloud to gather the most up-to-date documentation. DWGs, IFCs, Revit files, all can be brought directly onto the Esri map environment. Okay, let's cover some of them specific examples now that I've mentioned before of GIS to BIM. First of all, we have the map import functionality within Map 3D, which is also available within Civil 3D. In short, it's a command that supports the import of several GIS formats, for instance, like a shapefile. You've got the option to select the layer that your data goes to, the ability to convert them layers into AutoCAD blocks, as well as choose what attributes are imported from the GIS space into your Civil 3D properties. You can also choose to configure coordinate systems with this command to be aligned with your Civil 3D environment. So that's map import for individual files. However, if we want to connect to maybe a database, we've got the option to connect to an FDO, feature data objects import as well. So that allows us to access them databases and bring in multiple layers at once. That supports a number of different file formats, again, like shapefiles, Oracle spatial servers, SQL spatial servers, WMS, WFS, and loads more. Again, similar to that map import we looked at earlier, we can configure the attributes of that information. We can choose what layers they want to sit on, the coordinate system of that information, but just on a much larger scale with live databases. And then once we've imported that information, we've got the option within Civil 3D or Map 3D to look at that GIS information through a table, pick up, for instance, maybe the individual parcels of information that we've brought in and see the data associated to them. We can also query data and set up specific rules to see the information that we need through our large data set. So we could maybe use a number of different things like if and or statements to find exactly what we need. After that, once we've selected that kind of information, we've filtered out what we need to see, we can add themes to our data based on them rules that we've set up. There's a couple of examples of different themes that have been added to that information. So for instance, the surface has been given a theme on elevation. We've added coloring to this flood mapping here on the top right, or for the different regions on the map on the left there, we've given them different colors. So as you can see there, map 3D commands offer a number of different ways to bring in information from the GIS world into the BIM space. We've got features within Civil 3D to import shape files and convert them directly into pipe networks, reading the attribute data from that GIS space. So in this example, we're connecting to our GIS database, we're choosing the layers that we want to bring in, and then from that, we're looking at the data fields on that GIS layer and assigning them to the fields that our pipe network would use. So for instance, the thickness of the pipe, for instance, is a data layer, which is now actually being modeled on the pipe itself. So we have commands like this in Civil 3D that build upon that even more to convert that into Civil 3D objects. We've also got the connector for ArcGIS Online. So essentially this is a tool that connects to Esri's SaaS solution, ArcGIS Online. With a click of a button through that plugin, we're able to, once we've geolocated our drawing, that is, able to select an area on the map environment and scan it for any information that is available to us through our ArcGIS Online account. We're able to then filter between the different groups, personal content or organizational content that is available to us within that bounding box that we've created. Select them layers then to bring in. In this instance, I'm bringing in highway boundary data. Load that into our model and choose what type of geometry type that we want to bring that in as. So I'm going to bring them in as AutoCAD polygons. I can preview what that information looks like on the Esri map before making the decision to import that into my drawing. As you can see, this is a massive a data layer that I'm bringing in here. It didn't take that long at all. You notice here now what I'm doing is looking at the import settings. You've got the option here to set up different rules to choose what layers that information sits on as well. And we'll cover that in a little bit more detail. But in short, we can bring in information from ArcGIS Online to the Civil 3D space with a couple of clicks of a button. Pretty simple. I mentioned then a little bit about being able to filter and set up rules on that information being brought in through ArcGIS Online. You can see there on the left, we're looking at stylization. So we're using a number of if, or, and and statements on the data to interrogate the rules we want to place onto it. What's cool about this is essentially we can set up a JSON file with these rules based in, which a whole organization can use to standardize the way that GIS information looks when imported into Civil 3D. And then similarly, through the same process, we're also able to filter and add rules to the property mapping that's brought across into Civil 3D property sets through the GIS space as well. Again, with them same rules. So we might want to have a rule that says if contains the word highway, then we're going to place it onto our highway layer. Again, standardizing the way that GIS information is represented in our Civil 3D model. We've also got in Civil 3D a number of different ways of showing mapping backgrounds in our drawing. So again, once we've geolocated our drawing, we can now show different mapping backgrounds to give our design a bit of context. In recent years, we've actually gained access to Esri mapping backgrounds. Previously, we've had access to Bing, Microsoft Bing Maps backgrounds. They're still available as well for users to use. So you can choose what mapping background you want as context for your design. That connector that I mentioned with Civil 3D, again, is also available for InfraWorks, our preliminary design tool. Very similar process. We essentially geolocate our drawing, choose the area that we want to bring that information into, choose the layers that we want to bring in, and then define how that's represented in InfraWorks. And then we can also export that information out. Within InfraWorks, we've got the option to add different themes to our network. For instance, if we brought a pipe network in, we can add a theme to that, or surface information, we can add themes to it. We can export that information as an IMX file and use that in Civil 3D as the basis of our preliminary design. We've also got the model builder within InfraWorks, which allows us to aggregate a number of open source GIS information sources straight away once we've picked our design area. So things like a surface from drone surveys. We've also got the aerial imagery draped on the map, local vegetation and buildings. All of that is built into the model builder and can be generated with a couple clicks of a button. So you're seeing here a rule being placed now on them GIS layers, in this instance a pipe network, to give it a theme. I'll skip forwards a little bit. Sorry, this is the theme being added to that data source. Okay, another example of information being brought from the GIS world to the BIM world is a product called Esri SiteScan. So essentially, this is a tool by Esri that allows you to plan and conduct drone surveys of areas of your choosing. You're able to choose what the flight path includes, the different runs that drone takes, the angle of the photos it takes, the number of photos it takes. And then from that, it processes it into a point cloud, which we can measure, but also export directly into the ACC, which we can then process into an RCP file and view directly on the ACC. If you'd like to find a little bit more information about this process and how the tool works, there's a link here. Definitely check that out. I've also got a video here of some surveys that we've done internally at Autodesk, which you can check out. Again, I won't go into this in detail. It's a long video, but I think you'll get the picture of what we're doing here. Couple more ways to import information. There's also a standalone plugin for ArcGIS for AutoCAD, which essentially allows you to bring in map layers onto the AutoCAD space. It allows you to bring in GIS layers as well. A lot of overlap here between the features of Map 3D and this plugin. So definitely check it out with that link below, but I won't cover it in too much detail. Just know that it's available there for you. One of our newer products, Autodesk Forma, a tool used for preliminary site design, is also able to connect to ArcGIS Online to bring in different data layers. That workflow kind of looks a little bit like this. We, again, similar to InfoWorks, we're able to set up a area on our map, which we need to bring in data layers to, so buildings, trees, surface information. All that can be done once we've selected our area. We can design an initial building layout. We can evaluate it with different analyses like wind, noise, sunlight analyses, and document and publish the insights that we've got from that. All with GIS information now included in that conceptual design. Again, I won't cover this video just now. In short, it shows that process of adding that extension to our model, our Forma space, and importing different data layers into that model, using them as part of a conceptual design before publishing it to Revit. Again, there's some nuances around how that GIS information looks like in Revit. So I would definitely recommend checking out the ASB around this connection of Forma and ArcGIS. That covers this in detail. Again, some links for you to understand a little bit more about Forma and ArcGIS and how you can access these products. In short, Forma is available as a standalone license as well as part of the AECO collection that I mentioned earlier. And Esri has a number of different licensing models that may differ depending on the region you're based in. Okay, so that was some examples of how GIS information goes into the BIM world. What does it look like when BIM information needs to be pushed into the GIS world? Well, we talked about map import earlier. There is also a command called map export, which is available in AutoCAD Map 3D and Civil 3D. We can choose a number of different file formats to export our CAD data to, including shapefiles, SDFs, SQLite databases, GeoJSON, KML and KMZ file formats. Again, we can choose, similar to importing information, we can choose what AutoCAD attributes are published to the GIS database and included in that, as well as choosing what coordinate system is being used with that information upon export. And again, similar to what I showed earlier with the connector for ArcGIS Online, we have the ability to import information. We also have the ability to export information to ArcGIS Online. So this is a quick video of me using that publishing feature to select a number of different parcels within my drawing. So I'm filtering out the different Civil 3D object types I want to publish, selecting the parcels. Because my drawing is geolocated, I'm able to see that area on our Esri map environment highlighted. I can then choose from AutoCAD what exactly I want to push, what geometry type I want to show this as in ArcGIS Online. I can then give it a name, different tags. This is useful for filtering through that information once we've got it into that Esri space. And then choosing what different area I want to publish that information to. So you can have it in your personalized content, your group's content, or your organization's content libraries. You saw there, literally after doing that, click a button and it's exported out. And we've got the option there to now immediately view that in ArcGIS Online on the web browser. You can see there, all of them parcels have been brought across into ArcGIS Online. And it's available to see within my personal content as a feature layer, which then can be used on a number of different maps going forwards. In the exact same way that we looked there with Civil 3D and that connected to ArcGIS, we have the ability to export information from InfraWorks also to ArcGIS Online. So same process, picking what object type I want to use. We have the ability here to kind of filter between that information, choose what parts of the model we want to bring through. And then again, seeing it in the map space, choosing the different data layers that we want to bring it across as, giving it a name, different tags before exporting to our content. And in the exact same way, you've seen there, that pipe network that I've drawn in InfraWorks, I can now view within ArcGIS Online on the map space. Again, as a feature layer, ready to go for the GIS professionals to use within their maps. Awesome. So covering a little bit about ArcGIS Pro. Well, ArcGIS Pro is able to take in a number of different file formats, one of them being CAD. We're able to import DWGs directly into the ArcGIS space. Simplify and process that data, again, directly within the CAD space. You can find more information about how we do that geo-processing within ArcGIS Pro, the link provided there. It's not just for basic CAD files, it's also for Civil 3D objects as well. Things like pipe networks, surfaces, structures, parcels, all of that can be brought from Civil 3D directly into ArcGIS Pro and convert it to the relevant Esri geometry type. We can do a number of different things to geo-process that information within ArcGIS Pro to make it more suitable for maps. Again, more information on that process there. We've got the option in ArcGIS Pro to import IFC and Revit files directly onto the map space as well. With a number of features now added to filter that information, to view things like floor plans, different disciplines within our building models, all within the context of that map of ArcGIS Pro. Add different links to that model and have them different data layers as packages that we can add onto different maps and show within Esri web applications. Again, more information available at the link below. That information within ArcGIS Pro can be accessed through both local storage and the ACC. So ArcGIS Pro can ping to an ACC location, which is referred to as a BIM cloud connection, and see the folder structure of our ACC or BIM 360 project and bring in the files that we want onto their map space. Them files, once they've been brought in, have a link attached to them to the ACC location, allowing us to go to the ACC whenever we please through that link. Again, more information on that process in the help link below. For some more complex processing of information, a number of our customers use a third-party tool called FME, which is a separate software that can perform a number of different workflows through a visual programming workflow similar to sort of Dynamo, I would say, if you're aware of that, to bring that information from one space to the next. Okay, so we've looked at BIM to GIS, GIS to BIM. How can both of these worlds be combined into one space so we're not importing and exporting between the two? Is there a way to show both of that information in one space? The answer is yes, and it's using a product called GeoBIM developed by Esri. So this offering transforms AEC projects with a geospatial context, allowing different users to manage risks, costs, and timelines by connecting BIM processes with location during the design, construction, and operation of large capital infrastructure projects. It enables teams to integrate and visualize project data in a single cloud-to-cloud solution, making coordinated decisions with stakeholders easy. Essentially combining the worlds of ArcGIS and the ACC together in one product. So looking at the system architecture a little bit more, on one hand, we've got all of our BIM models, whether that be Revit files, IFC files, DWGs in our tools like Revit and Civil 3D. And they're typically managed in the Autodesk Construction Cloud, where we're able to use tools around issue management, collaboration, file management, project management, etc., etc. We have ArcGIS Pro, which is used to author maps and 3D scenes, and building kind of web scenes online. The connection between both of them worlds is GeoBIM, which is an extra application on top of ArcGIS, and it establishes a connection between these two platforms by bringing engineering documents onto the Esri map environment, adding that spatial context we sometimes need. It establishes relationships between data files on a granular object level, and it also syncs issues created between both platforms into one space. So to show you maybe a little bit about what that looks like, we're able to view in this GeoBIM app, we're able to first of all import all of our different data layers in from the ACC, so all of our models. That will initially come up as a number of bounding boxes onto our map environment. We can then view them models within that GeoBIM space and set up links between individual elements with documentation in the ACC and have them linked. Meaning that when somebody in their Esri web app clicks on that model, they also see all of the associated documentation that we've associated with that model, all within the Esri web app space. That also includes links to the ACC model viewer to view that model in context. We can import a model directly onto the map environment as well as a feature layer, but we have a link to the ACC model viewer directly within this web app. This is a video showcasing what that connection looks like a little bit more. So first of all, we have our Esri GeoBIM app. We're firstly going to show what their models look like when we just initially import them into that web app space. We get these bounding boxes. Because the files are geolocated, we can see where they are. We can then see a link to the ACC model viewer of that live model and view that directly within the map space. Again, if I skip forwards a little bit more, you can see we're also able to import the models onto the map space as well, not just having them bounding boxes. We can have links to the ACC location. You can see this is kind of the process of setting up that model. We can see in the GIS space other file formats like point clouds in that model space. You can see here in this example, we've not just linked the models, both 2D and 3D, associated with, in this instance, a light post, but we've also attached PDFs for things like O&M manuals associated with them parts. Again, these connections can be set up in that process of setting up this connection between the two platforms. I won't go through the entire video, but essentially what I want to kind of showcase here is that on the Esri web app space with the GeoBIM web app, we're able to have our BIM information showcased on the map space with feature layers imported if we so want to. So in this instance, that Revit file imported as a feature layer with different abilities to filter between disciplines, levels, etc., which is great. But we also have the ability to go to them ACC stored files and view them directly within that web app, giving GIS professionals and BIM professionals a view of all of the information they need on their project in one single space. Okay, we've covered quite a lot today. I wanted to summarize everything that we've looked at today, as well as some resources. So there's plenty of different ways to, as you've seen, to push BIM information to GIS and vice versa. And this can be done through a number of our different products, as well as a number of products from Esri and other applications as well. We've seen that both BIM and GIS personas can easily benefit from each other's data. There's plenty of case studies showcasing this, both on our side and on the Esri side. And that both of these worlds can be combined into one space with Esri GeoBIM. I'd like to highlight the public roadmap that we have for infrastructure. This gives you an opportunity to see some of the latest developments we're making in infrastructure space, which includes our collaboration with Esri. It gives you the option to look at the roadmap that we have, see the things that have just been released, things that are in progress, things that are on later in development for the team, and give you the option to upvote certain ideas, provide context as to why you think they're good ideas. And this helps our product team prioritize what they work on. You can access it through that link there below. Again, these are some examples of different things that have been added to the roadmap in recent updates. As well as that roadmap, we have a infrastructure futures program. What's this? Well, it's a program giving you the ability to view pre-release software, so you can download beta versions of software. It also gives you the opportunity to give feedback on these tools. It also gives you the opportunity to access a weekly webinar series with our infrastructure product managers and recordings to all past sessions. In them webinars, you're able to ask questions, give feedback on the updates that the infrastructure product team are working on. I'd highly recommend you set this up and sign up to this, as not only do we benefit, but hopefully you'll benefit too. Your feedback is really invaluable to us, so please do check it out. As this is a recording, I'm not able to answer any questions. However, feel free to drop me an email at james.chute@autodesk.com for any questions you have around BIM and GIS integration. Thank you.